your last 10 years look like? Will you be quick enough for a game of tag with your grandchild? Strong enough to embrace every moment? Will you grow old with vitality? Or get old with disease? It's time to decide.
Modern humans, there's been 109 billion of us born on the planet. There's about 7.7 billion of us alive today. We have well-documented evidence that 5 people have lived past 117. So statistically, the odds of you living past 117 today are about 1 in 20 billion. The odds that you'll live somewhat less than that are greater than that. Life expectancy in 1900 was 47 years old. Today it's 78. That's an increase of 31 years. But what's interesting is that adults in 1900 lived an additional 12 years on average, and today 19. That's just a 7-year increase, and 85-year-olds live just 2 years longer. So where's the 24-year difference? If adults today are living a little longer than they did in 1900, what explains this dramatic increase in life expectancy? And of course, it's a reduction in infant mortality. In 1900, 160 babies per 1,000 would die from waterborne illnesses mostly, or infectious disease. Today, that number is less than 7 per 1,000. So for every child that doesn't die in infancy and lives to adulthood, it adds 65 or 75 years to the curve, and of course that shifts the curve to the right. In fact, of the 31-year increase in life expectancy, 24 of it is due really just a reduction in infant and childhood mortality. 7 years, everything else combined. So if you're thinking today that the miracles of modern medicine are going to allow you to live a long and healthy life, you may become somewhat disappointed. The fact is that if it was just about money, how much money we spend on healthcare, we should be the healthiest people on the planet. Because we spend 2.5 times as much money per person than, for example, our colleagues in the Organization for Development in Europe. But we're not. If we look at life expectancy, that is how long a person born today is likely to live, we lag. If we look at, maybe more importantly, healthy life expectancy, of the time that you're going to be alive, how long will you live healthily, fully independent, functional? We lag. So life expectancy is 78, but healthy life expectancy in the United States is just 69. People spend 9.4 years debilitated and 17 years in poor health. You are not likely to live forever. However, what you can do is live until you die. Where we have probably the biggest potential impact is reducing that amount of debility so that you spend your life well and have what we call a good death too. That is, you go to sleep one night and don't wake up once you reach your genetic potential. So in the United States and industrialized countries, we spend billions of dollars on the leading causes of death: heart disease, cancer, and stroke. But what we don't focus on are the actual causes of death. The reason people get heart disease, cancer, and stroke. And perhaps the reason why we're spending more money with less benefit is because we're not focusing our attention on the actual causes of death, which include the use of tobacco, alcohol, and an animal and highly processed food diet. Tobacco certainly leads the list. Tobacco is really fabulous when it comes to premature death and disability because it affects almost every organ system of the body. So people think of lung cancer when they think of cigarettes. And that's why they think, well, maybe it's dangerous because you'll get lung cancer. But 80% of smokers never get lung cancer. How dangerous can it be? The reason why 80% of smokers never get lung cancer is because they die from heart disease before they live long enough to grow their tumors. I'm always thinking that perhaps what some enterprising cigarette manufacturers should do is come up with a way of making their product even more deadly, so everybody dies of heart disease. And that way, perhaps they could advertise it as cancer safe. Blood pressure elevations, which are also epidemic, are another major actual cause of death, particularly because of their contributions to heart attack and stroke. And look at this, alcohol, one of the major contributing causes of death. And yet today, if you read the paper, you'd think alcohol is some type of health food, that if you don't drink, you ought to start. They'll tell you that there's powerful antioxidants in red wine. Where do these powerful antioxidants in red wine come from? Specifically the skin of grapes. So if you wanted resveratrol, you could eat some grapes. Or they'll tell you that alcohol thins the blood, so it'll reduce your risk of stroke. Is that true? Absolutely. Alcohol thins the blood, much like aspirin does. So if you're on a greasy, fatty, slimy, dead, decaying flesh diet and you're at risk for a clotting stroke and you drink alcohol, you have a slightly lower risk of dying from a clotting stroke. You don't actually have a lower risk of dying because what happens is you have an increased risk of a bleeding or hemorrhagic stroke, so all-cause mortality doesn't go down. But if it's important to you that you die from a bleeding stroke rather than a clotting stroke, perhaps alcohol should be in your diet. Notice cholesterol on this list. Cholesterol on this list is there because it's a marker for how much animal food you eat. The higher your animal food consumption, the higher your risk for death. Being overweight is not health promoting. Low fruit and vegetable intake, just not eating enough fruits and vegetables, is a major actual cause of death, according to the CDC, in large part perhaps because of the protective phytochemicals and other factors that you find in plant-based foods, unlike animal foods. Physical inactivity, illicit drugs, and unsafe sex top off the list. Now, you notice none of these are deficiency syndromes. These are not lacks of pills, potions, powders, or treatments. These are conditions of dietary excess, dietary and lifestyle excess.